Thank you, Jim. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for this Revolution media call. I'm very excited about the event. There's some great matches on the card that have been building for a long time, and really looking forward to personally, and I hope you are as well. Really excited to talk to you about the event today. I know there's a lot of things happening in the world of wrestling, including in AEW and outside AEW. Very briefly today, 1 year ago today, on the Go Home Dynamite, fittingly enough, also on the road to Revolution, it was at Daly's Place that I made the announcement that I purchased Ring of Honor. And now, 1 year later exactly, a new era of honor is beginning tonight for ROH. And also, we have some exciting matches planned for Rampage on Friday. But for us, the main event coming up on Sunday is Revolution, and I'm very excited to talk to you about it. And Jim, if you want to start with the questions, we could start addressing what people want to talk about.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so we're going to start with Brandon Thurston from WrestleNomics. And then after Brandon, we're going to go to John Alba from Fight. So, Brandon, you're leading us off today.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you, Brandon. Great to hear from you.
So my understanding of your TV deal with Warner Brothers Discovery is that the network has a one-year option to extend the deal through December 2024. I just wanted to ask if I'm accurate on those details, and if so, has WBD already picked up the one-year option?
It's a fair question to ask. I have avoided commenting on the specifics of our TV deal for legal reasons. It's not because I don't like answering people's questions or because I'm not a fun guy. It's because I am responsible for the jobs and livelihoods of a lot of people and their families. And in this case, I am not supposed to answer questions about the contract that we have or the media rights contract. We have a great partnership with Warner Brothers Discovery, and I just don't want to circumvent or violate those covenants, if that makes sense. I also feel terrible that I'm already commenting on the lead-off question. Brandon, do you have any follow-up or anything else you want to ask before I move on?
Sure, I have a second one. Could you explain to us your strategy around house shows? Do you think house shows can be run profitably? And if not, what are the benefits that offset the costs?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the work you do, and I really appreciate you asking a question I can answer. Yes, I have a lot of thoughts on that. When we launched, we had a much smaller roster, and what we've done as the business model from the beginning is that we are a TV wrestling promotion, and the bulk of the revenue and the vast majority of the dates here will be filled by TV wrestling or streaming or pay-per-view specials. And as the roster's expanded, we have more availability, more dates on people, and also I do believe there's the ability to run house shows profitably, but I do think it's very, very challenging to make money on a house show, as we're seeing, and that's why we're learning the economics of it. We're trying to build that division up slowly to where we can do regular house shows and do more of them, but right now it's kind of a stick-and-move situation. We're in the process of developing more house shows to follow up on House Rules in Ohio on March 18th in Troy, Ohio. We're all excited about that, and we're benchmarking that. I think by giving ourselves some downside protection in terms of having some built-in revenue on these shows, it's our best opportunity to lock in profitability and guarantee those will be worthwhile events. And there's a lot of people that want to work on them. There's people I've never asked to work on them that are already asking what's going on with them, so those probably won't be the people I'll be chasing down as much to work them, but I have a big group of people that really do want to work on them, and I think it's the kind of thing I want to utilize, to the benefit of the roster, because the vast majority of the roster has made it clear that this is something they do want, house shows, and most people are chasing me down that they do want to work on the house show. So I'm very excited about that, and I think as we come out of Revolution, that'll be something very exciting for us that we have House Rules coming not long after this huge pay-per-view. Thanks very much, Brandon, for your questions.
Thanks, Brandon. Okay, as promised, I'm going to go to John Alba from Fight, and John is going to be followed by a write-in from Mike Johnson of PW Insider. John, your line is open.
Thank you, Jim. Tony, always great to chat with you, especially before the pay-per-view here. Last night, you guys had a really intense segment to end the show between MJF and Bryan Danielson, and I'm someone who regularly follows Brandon Thurston's breakdowns of AEW television, and show structure has always been something I've been very fascinated in. I would love to know what your philosophy is in putting these shows together, especially in the lead up to a pay-per-view. This was one of the very few times in the last month or so that Bryan Danielson or MJF were actually in the main event segment. So how do you go about setting that structure for your shows, especially leading into a big blow-off at the pay-per-view?
It's a great question. And it has been a mixture of trying to feature all of the prominent stories, most or many of which are featured in this pay-per-view Revolution on Sunday. And in doing so, trying to slot things in the show in a way that would do a favorable TV rating, and taking what has happened in prior weeks, trying to learn from that and do a better job the following week. I know that last week was the best we've done in a very long time on ratings, and one of our real high benchmark results, I really believe. I think it was tremendous for us to have not only our best audience, our biggest audience, and our biggest number in the 18 to 49 demographic of all of 2023, but also it was our biggest audience since the 3-year anniversary show of Dynamite on October 5th, I believe, and also the highest number in the key 18 to 49 ratings demographic that we've had since AEW Grand Slam on September 21st. Those are two of the most important shows on the annual calendar. And last week was a great episode, but it was also, some people thought it wasn't the most stacked up card of main event matches. It wasn't a special super card edition necessarily. It was a strong card, I thought, and strong stories, and I thought it showed that a lot of what we've been doing has been working, and there was a lot of interest in a number of the stories, including MJF and Bryan Danielson. A lot of their stuff has been in prominent positions in the show, but as you mentioned, not always at the end of the show. And in this case, leading into the pay-per-view, I thought that was appropriate, but also I've tried to put them in positions where they would have the best chance to get the biggest audience while balancing out what would be in the main event segments. Last week was a great example, I think, of a pretty steady ratings pattern throughout the show. We have a great lead-in, and we did very well last week to hold that lead-in, but also it led to steady results through the show. So it's a mix of trying to feature all the stories in prominent positions. A lot of times for Bryan and Max, it hasn't been the main event segment. It's been in that crossover around the 9 o'clock Eastern hour, or at the top of the show when we have a great lead-in flow, like we did for Max versus Takeshita opening the show. So it was a very exciting, intense promo segment, and I thought it was a great way to end the show. And I've seen examples of our shows and other shows where there's been a great main event promo segment. It's not what we always do, but there's times where I think it can be very effective, and I thought it was very effective last night with Bryan Danielson and those final words directed towards MJF ahead of the 60-minute Iron Man match this Sunday on pay-per-view at Revolution.